Hi, welcome to Little Big Circle, where we're little in size and big in conversation. And my name is Peggy. I am your host.
And I'm Judea Juice. I'm your co-host. And today's topic is, should loving your in-laws be unconditional? And we have our wonderful panel back with us. You guys would like to introduce yourself, ladies first, as always.
I am Tessie, and I am from Ohio, living in Las Vegas, visiting North Carolina, trying to see as much of this great country as I can.
Marlo?
It's your boy. I appreciate for being back again. Back in black. I'm originally from Huntsville, all day, Roll Tide, in the ATL. Blessed be.
Glory.
Yeah. Well, I'm Peggy, as you know, and I'm originally from Connecticut, but I'm residing in Huntsville, Alabama.
And I'm Juice from Connecticut, live in Georgia, halfway living in Huntsville right now. Halfway. Yes.
Enjoy the company.
Yes, we love it here. We're going to dive into our conversation today.
Yes.
Loving your in-laws. Should it be unconditional? Isn't it just a great topic, seeing how my in-laws right here?
Oh, my.
Who's gonna go first? We're gonna let you go first, OG.
Oh, my. Well, let me just saying loving your in-laws, it wasn't peaches and cream with me and my mother-in-law. So did I have to love her sometime and sometime not? I can't. Well, see, speaking of my in-laws, we started off bumpy, real bumpy. I mean, she couldn't stand my guts and vice versa. But me and my husband been married for over 35, 38 years. Can't even count them no more. But in my first beginning marriage, it was rough. She treated me terrible, absolutely terrible. Called me names, flashbacks.
Okay.
So should I have to?
So I'm gonna interject.
Yes, please interject, please.
And I'm gonna give the definition of unconditional love. But first, we're gonna have our other panelist introduce herself, looking all pretty today.
Ooh, flawless.
Welcome back.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I didn't want to be like that. But I'm Kelonda. I'm so glad to be here. I didn't want to miss it. So I was like, I'm getting on the line. But I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. And I love being in this circle.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we're talking about, should we love our in-laws unconditionally? And as some of you know on this panel, I had a rough in-law, me and my in-law didn't get along quite well. But it got better. I love my mother-in-law. Love you, Mom.
So sweet. See, things change. So the definition of unconditional is love without strings attached. It's love that you offer freely, and it's not based on what someone does for you in return. I guess that's just a little side effort they put in there. So strings attached, the NSA, right? No strings attached when loving your in-laws. Kelonda, since you just came on, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a real big subject because you first of all have a man that you love or a woman that you love. And when there's a conflict between in-laws, it's very hard. I had a hard time with my mother-in-law at first because I felt like not knowing. I don't think it was about unconditional love. Sometimes we don't know our place as in-laws, And when there's a woman or a man that comes in a place that an in-law feels is violated, they start to attack. And me and my mother-in-law in the beginning did not get along. And I was a type of woman, I wasn't tolerating nothing. So when I being that type of woman, I was also young with my husband, you know, so I just was like, as well as I felt like me growing up with a married family, my mom and dad was married, it kind of also taught me structure. But on his end, she was only a baby mother. So she didn't understand the concept of marriage or her son being married to me, that I wasn't taking nothing from her. She was actually gaining. So when I finally had that sit down with her, because I said, look, both of us love this one man, but your love and my love is two different things. So when I decided, because I love him, I took her to breakfast and I said, look, I'm not taking nothing from you. If you really get to know me, I'm a gain to your son as well as you. And she began to realize, as well as my husband stepping up to say, no, my wife is first. That's my wife. We became a family. And we started having Thanksgiving together, Christmas together. And now I do love my mother-in-law. Like, I talk to her without my husband. And I thank God that is unconditional love, because unconditional love sees past hurt, pain, unforgiveness. It sees past all of that, because he said love kills a multitude of sin. So where there's sin, it will be devoured by the love. So that's my suggestion if somebody's having a problem with an in-law. But we should have unconditional love for them, because all you're doing is gaining. You're not losing anything.
I can say it takes time. It takes time. You're not gonna automatically love and your in-law. You understand? Because you guys are separate. Your cards are different. You're raised different. So you're not gonna automatically say, well, man, you're gonna be Bessie, you know, but I understand what Kiki is saying. But Jemarlo, come on with it. You jumping out of your shoes or whatever.
So I will say this when it comes to in-laws. With my former mother-in-law, God rest her soul, it was a little different because my ex-wife was an only child. So
that makes a difference.
Their relationship was real close. I mean, real close. So there was a lot of love and pull and tug, love and hate. What is your thing with my daughter? What are you gonna do for her? All this type of stuff. I think I grew to love her in a capacity where we let the main thing be the main thing. We had a mutual love for her daughter, which was my ex-wife. So with that, I grew to love her. Now with her father, we was like tighter than crispy ice cream.
Wow.
And we'd just chop it up. However, I want to pull this point in true African culture. If you got married in Africa, it'll be a totally different thing.
That's right.
Because of the Nari that's in place, we putting up money to marry somebody. So we're talking about a full union and merging of families. And in that, any type of a problem, the in-laws is involved in the problem.
Yes.
So work it out. Now here in America, you ain't getting up in my business and coming up in my house.
Especially if you mess with my daughter.
You know what I'm saying? Because now it comes from a place, especially in America, I'm probably going to sit on the side with my child compared to listening to the whole thing. Because keep it real, some parents will say, I know my baby, I know they did it. You don't know your child. They're trying to tell you, you don't know. There's some stuff they'll do. I know I ain't raised them like, but it's to a point where, like I said, I had to grow into unconditional love. In spite of all this stuff, I had to grow.
Hey, Marlo, did you get a flashback?
I got about 10 flashbacks.
Yeah, I know that's right. Flashback. All right, Tessie, we know that we know your situation, not married, but we don't know, have you ever been married?
I've never been married, but everybody always want to talk about, when they say in-laws, they only want to talk about the parents, but people have siblings, and
come on with it, Tessie.
Those relationships are real. So
yes.
Like my sisters, two of my sisters one is married now, one was married. My brothers, all three of them are married, and those relationships are strange, especially with brothers, because especially the two that are married to women, like I'm like, number one, I don't have to like your wife. I have to respect your house, but I don't have to like your wife or be bothered with her. So people say, oh, you should love them unconditionally. Well, maybe my unconditional love is going ahead and leaving you alone to be with them because that's what you choose. So that's the thing with my sister. Her first husband, he passed away, but he was like, that was my brother, and you couldn't tell me nothing. They got divorced, and we still deal with his kids. Like his son and daughter are still my niece and nephew. People have to understand that in-laws is not just parents. If you marry somebody with siblings, you get the siblings. And if there was a close family, you getting siblings and cousins and ex-wives and baby mamas. And just my family right now is so crazy because like these people are family because they were in-laws and not just the mothers. Like my sister's mother-in-law, she would come over and just be messy just for no reason, but it's like, oh, well, that's his mom, so you have to respect her. And it's like, but what does that mean really? It's hard. Like just dealing with other families is hard, especially when you're bringing different beliefs, not even cultures, but it's all Black people. Like, I don't know, being from Detroit is different than being from Columbus. I don't know, like what they was doing up there, but you have to understand that. And so, yeah, you don't want to lose a relationship with your siblings just because they got married. Are you gaining more siblings, or do you have to like redefine your relationship?
That's a good point, but that's a good point. And I see you, Kelonda. I see you. I mean, hallelujah. Come on with it, girl. Come on with it.
She is absolutely 100% right. I have two scenarios, okay, because me and my twin was married to brothers, and she divorced one of the brothers. So when I would have Christmas parties and stuff, she still would have to come because she's my sister. And then she have kids with the brother, but she has kids with her new husband as well. And the second part I want to say is of the sibling, that when you marry somebody, you do marry siblings.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely right. With my husband, brother, he got brothers. So we all was cool. It was never, because men are not as much, because some be messy. It's not as bad when you get a family where there's predominantly the males. They just score you, sis, keep them moving.
Yeah.
But my brother is married.
Yeah.
And I'm working on the love unconditionally. Because I almost went upside that head a couple of times. Lord knows I did. Jesus, take the wheel. And
Come on back, flashbacks. Come on back.
That was real flashback because I Ubered to the house. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I understand that, but I always look at the person who is the part of the in-law. Like I look at my brother to say, just like you love your wife, you love your family, especially if I know my husband is messy or my husband does certain things. Like it goes back to, I think his name Jemarlo. He was saying how people say their daughter don't do nothing or this person don't do nothing, and you know they're being messy and manipulative. But when I say unconditional love, the unconditional love keep you from hurting that person or doing what you want to do to that person, because it's not that you just love you about the in-laws, about you loving your family, your brother, your mother, anything, because mothers get remarried, fathers get remarried. It's just the unconditional part comes in where I say, I love Judea, I love Peggy, I love her enough, like she said, to stay away sometimes.
That's right.
Because I don't want to hurt you, we're hurting who you love, you know, but sometimes it's like that with people. You have to love them from a long-handed spoon. You can't, they not going to change. They stuck in their ways. They in their belief. And the way I had to love my brother is through loving him through his children and stuff like that. I can't deal with his wife right now because I see through her. So, but I don't disrespect. I do say, hello, how are you? God bless you. And I keep it moving. But far as me and my sister, she had a bad end of the relationship with the in-laws. I didn't, because everybody felt my husband was the favorite. So in coming to favorite, my husband the favorite, his kids the favorite. So trickles down where she felt like her kids wasn't getting what my kids was getting, and so on. So what I learned to do in that situation was to tell my sister, you have a right to how you feel. And she has a right to how she feels. But I feel like nothing should be unspoken, because it allows the enemy to whisper lies and disbelief and untruth. And then you create all these scenarios and you don't have the fact of the matter. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, my husband was a different man from his brother. He made his family responsible for him.
That's right.
Your husband didn't. So it looked like the blame should go on the family when the blame should have been on the dad. You understand what I'm saying? So I think when like I said, in the unconditional part, it's all in loving yourself, respecting yourself, and respecting who you love. If it takes separation, or just high and by, or being involved. Like you said, it wasn't, I've been with my husband 18 years. It wasn't, peaches and cream just to say, oh, I love her. No, it took time, but it also took him to take a stand as my husband. You understand, coming from the mother and son and to a husband, a man, that some people got to graduate, and they don't graduate. They still saying mommy and daddy, and you saying, no, I need you to be that wife, I need you to be that husband, and love me enough to be, you tell your mother or father or your sisters, brothers to respect me. That's my conclusion to it.
Do you guys think enough people teach their children how to be spouses? Like, I know when I got married to Harold, you know, there was seven of them, right? So moving into, we couldn't get married, first of all, without my entire family approving. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something where it was like, oh, I love him, so we're gonna get married and that's that. That wasn't happening on my end. It was, he had to go through the whole motions of approval from my 7 uncles, and then my parents, and then my grandparents gave the final, you know, yes, you can go ahead and marry him, which was weird. From other people was looking at me like, so you gonna wait for, you know, for your family to say yes, you can marry this man? But I was bred that way, you know, like you don't bring in someone that everybody doesn't approve of. I mean, it was like a meeting, right? It was poor guy. He was put through the ringer. It was like a little meeting, and they, you know, had to talk to him. But I was raised by all these men, and the only women in my family were, you know, my grandmother, my mother, and me. immediately. I was, raised in this house, 7 men, my grandparents. It was rigorous, but it was like you can't. We're not going to allow you to go into a situation where you, Judea, aren't respectful to who you're married into, because just like Harold has to come into this Moss side, you are now going to be a Chisholm, and you got to get in where you fit in. Like you don't go in with the intent of his mother better know I'm here, this is who I am. Because if we met accidentally, I was supposed to be at work and she was going to meet my grandmother. I wasn't even supposed to be there, and we weren't even supposed to be getting married, because that's a whole nother story. I had a whole anyway, right? Jemarlo, shut up. But once we were like, okay, we're getting married, the grooming started on my end. And it was, I remember you saying, knowing your place. Kiki, I think you mentioned that, like knowing your place when you're in a marriage. It's not about you personally with this other person, because they have so many other working parts, right? Like your husband had his brothers and whatever other siblings on top of your mom and your dad. That's a whole moving family. Like he was raised up that way. When you married Joya, Jemarlo, it was her and her mom or whatever. That's a whole working system where everybody has to get in where they fit in. So when I got married, I fell back from being the mouthy person that I could be, and had to learn my husband's family. My children, Lyric says she's never ever getting married because it's gross, right? But as a mom, I have to teach her, hey, you're gonna one day find a guy and he's gonna ask you to marry him. You gotta figure out what this family is like. Are you compatible with the rest of my family? Because you have brothers, you have 3 of them. You're going to want to make sure when you come for Thanksgiving, everything is not awkward, because that's the worst, right? Like, how do we start moving forward, teaching our kids, hey, this is unconditional love, because you might want to slap your brother's wife or your sister's husband, but you can't because it's unconditional. What do you do? Because it's not just, us when we get into these marriages. If it was Africa, yeah, we all be living in a whatever they live in all together, right? And everyone has a role in the family. So what do you guys think of how do you move forward with raising generations to either know their place or figure out how to love unconditionally?
Excuse me, Jeanette. My thing of it is, Jamal, I need to let you guys know. What do you think about someone coming into your family, running it, and you don't even know the person? I mean, coming in your family, telling you this and telling you that, and how to do this and don't do that, and this, and you don't even know the person. I mean, as an in-law, want to be an in-law, want to be, I just have to get that out there because I want to know. Inquiring minds wants to know. Jemarlo.
Tessie, go ahead. Tessie.
I was just going to say, I think it has a lot to do with what you're taught to put up with, because a lot of people teach their kids, oh, you don't have to put up with nothing. You don't have to put up with nothing. And then you send them over to this person who they want to marry. And now they are under this misconception that they can go into these people's house and treat them any kind of way. Like I watched my mom do some stuff to my brother-in-law, and I was like, not in my house, like over my sister's house. It's like, why are you doing this? And it wasn't even just why is she doing it, but why is my sister letting it be okay?
Yeah.
I think that we have to learn, when you marry somebody, when you decide you're going to be with somebody, the 2 of you need to get together and say, this is what our house is going to be. I don't care about your mom and you don't need to care about mine. I don't care about your siblings. You don't need to care about mine. We have to come together and decide what we're going to do so that when our families come together, they understand that people don't get to come in our house and disrespect it.
Ditto. I understand that. But at the same token, guys, this has been a good conversation, very good conversation. But you didn't tell them about your in-law.
Cause it's different, man. Like, come on, we ain't have no issues from day one.
I can't even front. When God do it,
we ain't have no. Meeting her was weird. Like you would have had to been there.
Had to.
You would have had to been there. It wasn't. It wasn't. Like
I didn't even want to come and meet you, didn't he?
I know.
I was like, so like, I don't want to meet.
It was weird, but there's never ever been any bad blood ever between us. Like it was one of those, you meet them and then it was like, yes, I do love her unconditionally. Like
yes, anything.
It was weird like that.
And then, I want to say on the mother side, we closing out on this podcast because our time is running out. But I want to say that a true mother, a true woman would not take up for her sons. I have 7. If they wrong, they wrong. If they right, they right. I'm not gonna, because first of all, I tell my sons, before I was your mother, I'm a woman. So don't come to me with all that. She did this and she did that. No. I'm a woman. And with that, I'm gonna say good night.
No, you're gonna say it's time for our game.
I'm gonna say good night.
About the game.
Okay, okay. I bet you didn't know, game. Since you're gonna interrupt me, you do it. Get over here.
All right. So, gosh, but dang, it's like right in the middle of a good conversation.
I know. So what should we do? Should we come right back?
What do you guys think?
Should we come right back? Guys, panel?
Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Come right back. We'll be right back on the Little Big Circle.
He's so true.